Quick update for Sean's network reviews. So, for a while, me and Matthew the Prep held off on doing the shows for our binge list, but we kind of got sidetracked due to the fact that we binge watched The Owl House as well as a bunch of movies. Though, I also did my own binge watches since I got done watching Ben 10 2017 to take a look at the trilogy of Disney shows that spun off from one show or another. Though, after we got all of that taken care of, we watched the show that I'm gonna be talking about today. Though, this review is being sandwiched between two Disney shows in particular, since I've been binge watching Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, and the last couple of reviews in particular have been Disney related, so this review is in production order first. But I'll be getting done with Brandy and Mr. Whiskers after this review in specific, and after that will be Chowder, since one of my viewers have been requesting me to take a look at both of those two in specific. Anyways, No Longer Allowed in Another World is a 2024 anime based on a manga of the same name by Hiroshi Noda and Takahiro Wakamatsu, and is the second show that was part of the second poll that Matthew the Prep did in my server a while back. The first one being Tied in a Knot with an Amagami Sister, if you're wondering. Which, to get this started, No Longer Allowed in Another World is another good one in particular, though whereas with Amagami Sister, that show was a surprising one that had a lot of problems, since I thought it was gonna be Rent-a-Girlfriend levels of torture, due to how it treated the main character, and how Matthew the Prep initially thought it was gonna be on the same level of genericness as Runes. This one was a standard one going into it, that ended up being pretty good, knowing how it plays around with and parodies a lot of cliches that the isekai genre suffers from in general. Although, in terms of both shows, I do consider this one better than Amagami Sister, as it doesn't have as many issues that it had in particular, with that one joke being run into the ground about Uryu, for the most part, with the main character wanting to commit self-deletion and that finale in particular. But all of this is for later on in the video. But for now, what is this show about? This show revolves around a depressed author named Sensei. He and his lover named Sachan attempt to go through with the self-deletion pact, only for both to end up getting truck-cooned in the process. This causes the two to end up in a fantasy RPG world, where Sensei is greeted by an elf mage named Annette, who used said truck to summon him into this world, where he is tasked to save this world from a Dark Lord, yet Sensei doesn't want to take this task seriously at first, and tries to OD on sedatives throughout his journey. As the series goes on, Sensei would come across Tama, a cat girl who is said to be a martial arts master and is apparently a princess of her own kingdom, and Nur, an orphan boy whom in his first appearance looked like he was gonna turn to a life of scamming people before he ends up joining the group, as they travel to locations while coming across other worlders who abuse the powers that they've been gifted with. To start off this review, given that No Longer Allowed in Another World is 12 episodes long, I don't have very many things to talk about in regards to this show, so I'll muster up what I could. The premise of this show being that an author has the ability to send other worlders back to their reality is a great premise for a show, and for what it's worth, they do get a lot of mileage out of this premise, and unlike Steven Universe, where they redeem those who didn't deserve that redemption, most of the other worlders that appear in this show are not necessarily evil, it's just that they have things that they need to sort out in the real world, like the guy in the wheelchair for instance. He does everything he can to help out the people in this orphanage by supplying them with ingredients, because he feels guilty over the fact that he didn't help out his friend who was helping him out. And there's also that one episode with the two sisters, where you could see exactly why the oldest one is doing what she's doing. She basically suffered from parental favoritism, as well as her younger sister constantly being favored over her. The only exceptions to this are characters that do things so wrong that they end up actually getting what they deserved, like the fallen angel of gluttony, where because he resorted to cannibalism, he ends up not getting sent back to the real world and ends up getting killed instead. And I also like Annette and Tama in this show. Both of them are an absolute riot in this show, especially when both of them end up butting heads. Though, with that being said, No Longer Allowed in Another World does have some problems. I mean, not as much as Kappa Mikey or Amagami Sister, but these issues are definitely worth noting. That being that the main character, Sensei, could rub someone the wrong way, given that his only defining character trait in the show is that he's constantly wanting to die, or that he's continually talking about how he wants to commit self-deletion, which, if anyone in the audience is watching this video right now and you are feeling depressed, I urge you to take some medication annotations and have someone let you know that things are gonna be okay. Also, just like tying the knot with an Amagami sister, the finale is very lackluster and is most definitely the weakest episode of the entire series. That's because this finale does not feel like a finale. It honestly feels more like a regular episode of the show where Sensei comes across a new character who helps him on his journey, but unlike Amagami's sister, this finale essentially ends the show on a cliffhanger where it's revealed that Sachan is working with who is the villains of the show. She basically comes back in the finale to dump Sensei because she thinks he changed or something, despite the fact that he acts no different in the finale than he does in any other episode of the show, but still says she loves him anyway, as a way to try and build up the fact that she's an antagonist, I guess. But given that this is the final episode of the show, we never really find out what her true motives are. According to Matthew the Prep, the manga is still running to this very day, so this might indicate that the show might get renewed for a second season at some point, but Matthew the Prep also said to me that most short animes do often have non-finales, although if it was a slice of life anime, it would be a little more understandable, but given that the show did want to tell an ongoing storyline, it feels more disappointing as a result. And it's not even a satisfying finale either, as Sensei gets so depressed that he begins stuffing his mouth with sedative pills after he got dumped. He also took his friend's only way of being able to travel from one place to the other, and the Fairy Queen essentially has both of her assistants serve Sensei. But regardless of that, I did enjoy this show, even though in all honesty, it does feel very unfinished, especially in comparison to Amphibia or The Owl House, both of which do have complete stories, even though those are Western cartoons, but who knows? Maybe the series is just on hiatus and it's just not confirmed if it's coming back or not, so for now, this will just have to count as part 1. The only reason I am making this a Sean's Network Reviews episode is for the same reason I did for Amagami Sister. The show is over for now. I mean, by the time I'm scripting this, Matthew the Prep found out that I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World got renewed for another season, so I ended up having to change the thumbnail and title to make it a Sean's Thoughts video, but this will be something that we might have to find out for ourselves in the future.
Everything